Hello. I hello. I am leading today's lunch club. I am Riley and I am the program assistant here at the SBDC. And hopefully we can get this to work. Okay, nice. Okay. Hmm. All right. So, like I said, I'm Riley. I am the program assistant here at the SBDC. I do a lot of SBDC's um social medias and other things, all the branding things. So,
Can y'all hear her?
yeah, hey, can you hear me? Or am I talking to no one?
I can hear you.
Amazing. Okay, we're just figuring this out. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start off. Everyone seems to be here. Please do things. Okay, computer seems to be slow. Hair. Okay. So we're gonna start off with that graphic design is everywhere and go away. Graphic design is everywhere and it will help you build recognition, trust, and consistency. Um, I have some examples here that the SBDC uses on a regular basis. People are able to easily recognize us because of the colors we use, the fonts we use, and so forth. Uh, Personalization, once you have what you need, you will be able to put the things you create onto merchandise, cards, anything you feel that will suit your brand, you can put it on there. And we're going to go through on how we will put those together. But before, geez, but before we do that, we are going to talk about graphic necessities. Um, and we'll be using Canva to do that. I'm going to go over some basics of the toolbar if you're not familiar with Canva. So over here, when you have Canva open, you will have a toolbar in the left-hand side. The um, design tab is where you will find things like templates and layouts. And then over here in the center, we have the Elements tab where you will find graphics that you can use. They have tables and photos if you do not have that available to you. I recommend using your own photos, but if you do not have them, they are here for you to fall back on. You will also find shapes, different shapes, circles, squares, anything. That you can put together to make your own graphic as well. And then another thing that you will likely be using regularly is the Uploads tab. When you upload files, this is where they will go to, and you will be able to pull from it as you are working in different projects. You can make folders to make this easier for you, make it easier to find things. And these are basically the things that you'll probably be using the most, aside from the text, but I feel like that one is self-explanatory. Then, if you need like a step-by-step how to do things, Canva has tutorials, videos, and things. You can find them on their website. They also have it in their app readily available to you. And now we are going to move on to graphic necessities. So, with graphic necessities, we really want to make sure that we have clean lines. We want to make sure that everything is legible and everything is simplistic. You do not want to overwhelm your viewer with a whole bunch of random things that are just not needed. Um, Legibility, especially, this does not just apply to your words and your fonts. This also applies to imagery. So this plant, for example, on this table, it is you see that is a plant, is down to its simplest form, and you still read it as a plant. It doesn't need a whole bunch of detail in it. So those are three main things to keep in mind. Just don't stray from those as you are starting out. You can break rules as you need to later on, but remember to keep those in mind. And we will need these things because we want to be able to scale the graphics that we make. We want to be able to scale them and use them on different things. You can use them on employee t-shirts or merchandise, cards, or packaging. You want to be able to size these graphics up and down depending on what you use them on. Here we have a couple of different logos. Notice that you know what these logos are and they don't have to display that to you. You just know it based off of their imagery. And their imagery it isn't super complicated. Adidas is literally just three black slanted lines. It's nothing crazy. So just keep in mind that you really don't have to overcomplicate this. If anything, you should be going as simple as you possibly can. Lastly, for the graphic necessities, I want you to know that your brand, just let it have its own identity. Your brand is not about you, sorry to say, but it is not about you. It is about your target audience. And you might be a part of your target audience, but you don't want to make it so niche and molded to you that it doesn't apply to everybody else. So make sure that you are taking other people into consideration that are a part of your target audience and not just yourself and what you like. Okay, so now we can have some fun and we can get into, well, I guess I should ask, do we have questions? I guess that's a good stopping point.
Calista, is this a good tool to use, like when creating images for our website?
Images for your website? Absolutely. It can, yeah, you can do all kinds of things. Really, with Canva, you can make anything. I think Canva is good for anything image wise. I wouldn't recommend it for video or video editing. I have had a lot of problems with that. It's just very glitchy and not great, but imagery and like social posts, your website, anything like your logo, anything in that area, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay. Now we're going to get into creating our brand board, maybe. There we go. Okay. So we are going to be designing our brand board for our business. This is the very first thing you want to do. I know that sometimes you're like, I know what I want in my head, so I don't need a brand board. The truth is, it's not going to come out the way you want it to, so you do need a brand board. So this is the very first thing you should start with always. Um, in your brand board, you will include things like logo ideas, colors, shapes, fonts. The logo ideas can just be like sketches or just ideas. Nothing has to be fleshed out. We are going to start with just a brain dump of what we want, and then we will pick out what works and what doesn't. And having this brand board will save you a lot of time and energy in the future. You will have these things picked out in advance, and you won't be so overwhelmed when you're putting something together. You won't be scrambling to put something together later on. So I am starting a business called Lady Hug Pretzels. I make soft pretzels and I have a restaurant. It's a very cozy environment. This isn't real. This is just for this presentation. Very cozy environment. I want everyone to feel nice and calm where I sell my soft pretzels. So first I'm going to include my color palette. I have a very nice warm color palette going for me here. You'll also notice that they are the color of ladybugs. You don't have to be that on the nose, but I decided to be. And if you aren't good at putting together colors that might look good, you can literally just go onto the internet, put in a describing word and color palette after. Just for Lady Hug, you can put relaxing color palette and then just take whatever pops up, whatever you feel like matches your brand. Make sure you stay on brand and you're not just picking things again because you like it, but because you think it will suit your target audience. And then you're going to pick two main colors. You can pick three at max, but I think it's good to just try to focus on two. And if you need a third one, you can go for that. And then next, we're going to pick out our fonts. You are going to want to have a more header font and then a body text font. The header, you can have a bit more fun with it. It can have a bit more character to it, but just make sure that it is still easy to read. You don't want anything confusing going on. So for your emails, for example, if you're sending out monthly emails or anything like that, you can have a bit more fun. But for your body text in your email, you really want to make sure that it's easy to read and that there is just like zero difficulty. Everyone should be able to get through it very easily. Number one rule, please do not use cursive. It never works out well. It never comes off as professional in this sense anyway. We have someone coming in. Welcome. We're over here talking about our brand board. Okay, so we have, like I said, you want to be sure that this body text is very easy to read. And again, I just really want to put this in your head that if you have these picked out in advance, you will have them on hand and you won't be overwhelmed by options. Like in Canva, there are millions of options for different typefaces or fonts, whatever you want to call them. There's just so many that sometimes it can be overwhelming. So you really want to narrow down your options to something that works and something that you feel like fits your brand. And then the last thing that we're going to put over here on our brand board is mood. If it'll go to the next slide, please. You seem to be frozen. Maybe it's, that's what it was. Okay, so now we're gonna put the mood. You will include things like imagery. Canva has a bunch of graphics that you can just slap on here, see what works. You can change colors of some of the graphics as well. So you can plug in the colors from your color palette to see if it works. For Lady Hugs, I obviously want a very cozy vibe, as I was saying, that were very warm and just very nice and calming and not like screaming in your face. And I had a lot more options to begin with, but this is what I concluded when I was narrowing things down. So this is like my finished mood board. You can always add things to your mood board or take things away, but you're going to start off with like a lot of options and want to narrow it down. But let's pretend. Let's pretend like you're saying, Riley, you're insane. I don't want to do that. I know what I want, and it's in my head. I don't need to put it out, lay it out like this. Well, you're going to end up with something a little bit like this, and you're going to be really upset and sad that you don't have any customers. So, remember earlier when we were talking about the graphic necessities and those three main things that you just really need to have in your graphics? This disrupts all those things. It is very overwhelming. There are way too many dots on this ladybug, if you can call it that. Way too many dots, very overwhelming. You just don't know what's going on. And then you will also notice that there are little to no clean lines, especially in the antennas. We were talking about scalability. When we size this ladybug down and we put it on our shirt, it is going to lose a lot of detail where where the antennas are, those dots there. It's just not going to come across, and it's going to look quite sad. You're not going to be able to tell what it is. And then another thing, the legibility. Not only can you not really tell that this is a ladybug, but the typeface, the fonts, just are not working for this. I think it's okay. Well, if you have like a very short, if you have a very short title for your brand, you can use a little bit of cursive if you want to, but I recommend staying away from it. It will be better for you, I promise. Okay, and then another thing are these colors. I know they're your favorite colors. I know you love these colors, but again, it's not about you. It's about your target audience and about finding what works for your brand and what doesn't. These colors don't work for my brand, and I don't think they'll attract my target audience. They compete with each other way too much. You can barely tell the difference between them, as you can see in the second one. We have someone else coming in. Okay. Hello. We are talking about what works and what doesn't. Don't get scared. This is the bad example. We'll get to a better example here in a second. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say for that. So let's try again. This time we're going to take our brand board and we are going to accompany it with our graphic necessities. We're just going to keep all these things in mind and really try to make something that works for our brand and not something that is such an eyesore that we're scaring people away before they even know what our business is about. So here, just so that I can get you familiarized with Canva and their toolbars, up top we have things you can change, colors and fonts and tons of things. That's up there at the top. And then over here, we obviously have this toolbar that was shown earlier in the presentation. I have the type one open, and then here in the right hand bottom corner I have my brand board. You can have it printed off or in a different tab, whatever. I just have it here for the purpose of this. Just make sure you have it on hand and you're able to glance at it and compare it to whatever you are creating. So the very first thing, I'm talking about a logo, but this can apply. This section is about logos, but it can apply to graphics as well. Specifically for logos, though, I would recommend starting out with a letter logo. It's just a good thing to fall back on when you might not have a graphic that works for whatever you're trying to slap it onto. So I'm using these typefaces that I picked out earlier on, and I'm switching them up, just putting them together like puzzle pieces. These letters are already made. I like their fonts. They're ready-made. I just gotta stick them there and put them together like puzzle pieces, see what works, see what doesn't. It's perfect. It's the easiest part. And the most important thing is to make options. Please make options. You don't want to just like be like, ooh, I like that, and then use it for every single thing because you might come up with something better in the future. But and also you should have something else to fall back on if that other thing does not work. So I recommend starting here for your logo, please. Just, if anything, just to have it, or like as a warm up to get ready for other things such as these graphics. So here I limited myself to just a couple, well, really one shape. I limited myself to a singular shape. It's a ladybug. It wasn't really hard to do. But I also limited myself to the amount of shapes that I'm using, right? So I just have a couple of those and what I will turn into antennas. Obviously, I have my text there as well, and I'll put these things together to make something that is very breathable and easy to take in. Remember the first one, how there were just so many dots that you just could not tell what was happening. When someone looks at this, they are automatically going to think that it's a ladybug, whereas in the last one, they will probably think that the Cookie Monster got put into like some weird contraption and came out as a cookie. I don't know. They're not going to know what it is my point. So make sure there's enough breathability, enough space, and it's easy on the eyes. And so simple. Like, if you're ever questioning whether your graphic is simple enough, it's probably not. It's probably not. Mm. Okay, so now I have all these options for my logos, and I can pick and choose which things I like and what I don't like. I did color variations as well. It's just a lot of experimenting and then narrowing things down. Okay, do we have any questions for that section? It does not seem like we do. Okay, so we're going to move on. So we are going to put these logos, all of them. Well, I narrowed it down to a couple just so we're not taking up so much space. But okay, so we're going to put things through the interference test. And you're probably wondering what the interference test is. Well, I'm going to explain it to you. It's something I created in this little mind of mine. No. Okay. I created this interference test. It might already be a thing. It probably is, but as far as I know, it's me. So the legibility test is going to help us find out what is easily scalable and what isn't, and whatever we make, if it can be put onto a plethora of different textures. Not everything is going to be on a solid white background like what you're making it on, right? So you want to put it against different textures, different backgrounds to be sure it works. And to do that, we are going to take a busy background. This is just a photo I found on Canva of a whole bunch of eggshells. There's no focal point. It's just a whole bunch of crazy messiness. It's just a bunch of eggshells. I also put in black and white just because you don't have to. Um, but we are going to place the logos on top of this, and you will see already that what this test does. So remember earlier how I was talking about with this blue ladybug, how it's not going to really come across as a ladybug, especially when it's placed into something else and it's scaled up and down. If you didn't see it before, surely you see it now. You can also see that what I was talking about when I said the cursive might be hard to read. People aren't going to be able to read that at a glance, let alone on some kind of texture. So And we already went over everything that's wrong with that. Now, if we compare that to our new one where we stuck to our brand board and we stuck to the graphic necessities, we have this, and it is like already it's an insane improvement, right? So, one thing I will say about this, the red ladybug, is where it says lady hug, the Y it has that very thin line. That might be something to consider. You can go in and draw that line thicker. This typeface doesn't have a bold option, so I'm not able to just bold. But I can go in and draw over it to make it thicker if I need to. Same thing down here at below where it says pretzels. That T isn't really coming across as a T. If anything, it kind of looks like a weird I. So again, you might have to make some adjustments, but this interference test helped me figure out what might get lost when I put this onto different surfaces. And same thing goes for these black and white. Ah, yes. Okay. So with these letter logos, make sure that you have a black and white logo of some kind. It can be a letter logo, it can be a graphic, what have you. But make sure you have a black and white one, and you can mess around with color later, but have black and white because sometimes you have a limited amount of options of how many colors you can use. Do we have any questions about that? Okay, so now I have my brand, I have this cozy, awesome aesthetic vibe, woo. We are going to use it on a ton of things because we're going to be pulling from our brand board, right? So we can do things on shirts, signs, tags, emails, merchandise, everything. And this consistency will help build trust in your viewer, your customers. There we go. So you want to make sure that everything is nice and good. We are going to be focusing more on templates. For this example, I'm going to do a social post. Canva has a ton of templates that you can use. Number one rule of templates is they are not ready-made things for you to just slap your name on and put up there. Again, we want to mold it to our brand. We want it to have our colors, maybe have our fonts, our photos, all those things. So please don't just slap your logo on something and be like, ah, and post it up there. It also takes away from consistency because likely templates aren't the same, right? They're all different and they're like that on purpose. Okay, so I picked out this. It's a real estate company, I guess, a template that I found in Canva. And I don't want to, obviously I'm not a real estate company, so it wouldn't make sense for me to have a house there. And ideally, I would like to use my own photo. However, this business isn't real. I don't have photos for this business, so I'm going to be taking one that Canva provides. Canva provides a ton of just free stock photos. And I picked this template because it has round edges and it has a modern feel to it. Again, it ties back to like the mood that I have going on in my brand board, like modern and cozy, but I can obviously take it to the next level once I plug everything I have in my brand board, I can plug it in and I'll end up with something a little more molded to what I want it to be, right? So, obviously replaced the photo, I changed the colors. I didn't change the font because I felt like this font worked fine. It's close enough to the font that I picked out anyway. It's not too far off. Um, and I also wanted to make the point that just changing the photo and the colors can take you so far. Sometimes you don't need to change everything, right? So you can pick and choose what you feel like needs to be changed, keeping things simple. I also put my logo on there. You'll see I used a different variation, a different color variation. I feel like if I used a red one, it wouldn't have come across all that great. So I picked my color, I picked my yellow color for this post. And then you slap it up there and you're all good. Hopefully, hopefully you can figure this out. If I haven't done great here, let me know. But now we're going to move on to a Q&A. So does anyone have any questions? Or do you feel like I didn't cover something that might need some more explaining?
Will you guys be hosting any training specifically for putting a website together through, I think I'm going to use Squarespace.
Okay. Um, we don't have anything in the plans right now, but it's something we can maybe consider. That is not up to me. I am just a program
Okay.
assistant, but I
Yeah.
can obviously bring it up to my supervisor and see what she thinks.
Thank you.
Yes. And then, ooh, and then we had Ty ask, what about brand guidelines? I am not sure. Could you expand more on that question? Ah, brand guidelines have your typefaces, colors, and general brand vibes documented for easy reference. Yes, that's kind of what we went over back when we had our brand board. It's kind of the same thing. Let's see if we can get there. Okay, so here we have our brand board. We have everything here. You can put this together in a more formal way if that's what you want. Um, I'm more of a visual person, so I put everything down like this. But if you would like it in a more formal like document, say, to give your employees or something like that, to have them familiarized with it as well, you can do that. And you can include things about placement, like where to logo on things like social posts or anything like that. You are in charge of all the technical things when it comes to that. Would you be able to make a live simple event flyer in the future with Canva tools? Um, maybe right. Uh, again, I'm not in charge of that, so I can't speak on it myself. I'm just here to tell you about brand boards. But again, I will bring up ideas and other things you might want with my supervisor. Of course. More training on Canva? Oh, okay. Um, hands-on training, that's an interesting one. I'm not sure how we would do hands-on training. I guess you know what? I will ask, yes. Yeah. I'll ask my supervisor and we'll see if we can figure it out. And we here at the end, we're gonna go right back to the end. So here's a QR code for a survey. If you have any ideas or anything you would want included for our lunch clubs, you can scan that and tell us all about it. That way we can make sure we're providing content that you guys are actually wanting and think would be useful. Of course. Thank you for joining me. If you guys need anything else with small business, you can come to SBDC. There's the number and things. Next time. Goodbye.